Hi, today for Mrs. LeBuzzy's Math Blog, we are going over the review packet for Section D of Module 1. This covers lessons 24 through 29 to prepare for tomorrow's test. So let's take a look at number 1. Percent means? Exactly. Okay, let's take a look at this picture. I realize it may not have printed very clearly. There's problems with the copy machine, but you can see it better on the board. So what percent is being modeled on that grid? Everybody?
55%.
Now, as a decimal, I could put it over 100, or I can just move the decimal 2 places to the left. 5,500. So you want to make sure you have that 0 in your ones column as a placeholder. As a fraction, it's 55 hundredths. And then as a part to whole ratio,
55 to 100, but I have a question. Would you get points off if it goes to 0?
possibly.
55 and 100 is also equal to 11 over 20.
That's right. Okay. Now for lesson 25, the model was already made for you. We already have the diagram, and we're going to use that diagram to answer our questions. So we have out of 5 and 100%. So 60 is what fraction of the whole quantity? So here's my 60%. That's what fraction? 60%. That would be this and this and this. What fraction is it? 3/5. 4/5 is what percent? 80%. And what is my whole quantity? What makes it a whole? 5. Exactly. 5 was my whole quantity. Number 6. The 75 students on Team Orion were surveyed and 40% by lunch. Name the different parts with the words part, whole, and percent. 40% is the percent. I really hope nobody gets that one wrong. 75 students, is that my part or my whole?
Whole.
Whole. And the students who buy lunch, that's part of the group. So now we're going to create a model. Let's make sure we always read the directions carefully. We're going to make a model. If I have to make a model, what's the first thing I'm going to do? Draw a
rectangle.
Draw my rectangle. Now I know that my 100% is always a whole. Do I know what the other whole is? Do I have my other whole?
No.
Yes, 75 students. I just said it right here. So I'm concerned those of you who are screaming out no, instead of raising your hands or looking at your notes. So 75 students is the whole team. So now the other piece of information I have is 40%. So am I going to put the 40 on the bottom or the top? The bottom. So let's cut this off. 20%. There's my 40%, 60%, and 80%. Now it looks like on the top number line, I chopped up the 75. I chopped up the 75 into how many pieces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I chopped up my 75 into 5 pieces. So 75 divided by 5 is?
15.
So now I can label the top part of my diagram. Now that I have everything filled in, I can find my answer. 40% of the students buy lunch. So 40% is how many students?
30.
30. So you're going to write your answer. 30 students buy lunch. Well, you want to try to make this fold complete so that I know you don't mean 30 students are on the team. You want to specify to make sure that it's clear. I finished 3/5 of my book on the train on the way to the city. What percent of the book did I read? So my percent is what I'm trying to find out. So it asks you to create a model. So let's create our model. 100%. Now it says I finished 3/5. So how many sections am I going to divide this into? 5, because 5 is my whole. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I divided my top number line into 5 sections, I have to do the same for the bottom. So what's 100 broken into 5 sections? 20. So now let's label that, breaking it up into 20s. So now 3/5. So 3/5 is what percent? Right. And there's my answer in a full, complete sentence. Number 8. You came to Extra Help. You're in good shape for number 8. If you studied your exit tickets and the corrections that we made, you're in good shape for number 8. Use division. Well, why am I using division? If I use this using the equivalent proportions, could I do that?
No.
I can't get from 8 to 100. Well, I could use 12.5, but that's complicated. We need another resource. What did we say the division bar means? And you should write this on your notes. Division bar, oops, now I know who was paying attention and who wasn't. Fraction bar means what operation? Division. The fraction bar means division. So I can read this fraction as 3 divided by 8. 3 divided by 8. 3 divided by 8. Those all mean the same thing. So now how can I go ahead and divide that? What do I have to do? Right, I have to add my annex 0. Which means I don't just add a 0, I have to add a decimal and a 0. Don't forget that decimal and your 0. So now 8 goes into 30 how many times? 6 times. No, it does not. Why am I listening to you? 3. You're taking advantage of my tiredness. 8 goes into 60. 7 times. We need to stop calling out. You're being distracting, disruptive, and non-productive. I asked you to please sit on the other side of the table. Please do that now. And let's concentrate on raising our hands and staying with me. I asked how many times 8 goes into 60, which is 7. 7 times 8 is 56. 40 divided by 8 is 5. And then we can stop. Remember, you always want that 0 in your ones column. So as a decimal, it's 0.375. However, we have to read the directions carefully because they also asked for it as a percent. Now, there's 2 ways that we could do that. We know that we can simply multiply by 100 and move the decimal 2 places to the left. So it's 37.5%. If you're shaky about the whole moving the decimal thing, let's write that decimal as a fraction. Here's your other option on how to solve it. 375 thousandths. That's an equivalent fraction for that decimal. But to make it a percent, percent is always out of 100. So what I'm going to have to do is reduce it, and I can reduce it by dividing by 10, divide by 10. So that gives me 37.5, which is 37.5%. And that's the same answer that we got there. So you can use either strategy on the test tomorrow, making it into a percent. Okay? Lesson 26. I bought a new video game that was 30% off and saved $24. What was the sale price of the game? Create a model to show your work. Well, I see the word model, so I know the first thing I'm going to do is draw my diagram. So here's my model. I know that it's 100%. Now I saved $24. If I saved $24, is that my original price? Is that my whole? No, that's not my whole. So what I'm going to have to do is use my 30% to divide the bottom. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Now, $24 represents the 30% off. 30% off is 24. So 30% is 24. So if 1, 2, 3 boxes equals 24, what is each one? 8. So let's label them. 8, 16, and you could help me because I totally messed this up before. Make sure I do it correctly. So 80 was the original price of the boots. Somebody did that 6th period too. Exact same thing. Exact same thing. So don't be embarrassed by that because you're not the first person today to do that. So $80 was the original. But they are asking for the sale price. So minus the $24 discount, how much was the new video game? 80 minus 24? I think my hand down low. So it was $56 for the video game. Let's try number 10. If I buy a new pair of boots that are originally $120, how much will I save if they are 40% off? Create a model. So let's create our model. My whole is 100%. This $120, is that my whole, my discount, my part? Sure, and you could use like it as a tape diagram and fill in the amounts and part. Oh, there's lots of ways to check this. I was given 40%. So I'm going to break this up, making sure that I hit my 40%. You could break it up by tens, that's okay. You could break it up with 5s, but keep it as simple as possible. That's my thought. If 10s work for you, 10s work fine. So now that 120 was broken into how many pieces? Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my 120 was broken into 5 pieces. So 120 divided by 5 is 24. So 24, 48, 52, and, no, that's wrong.
No, wait, it's 6. No, it's not 6. No, it's 72.
Holy cow!
It's 72.
And then,
96.
wow, this is no good. All of our adding skills went right out the window.
That's the 40. That's adding again.
Yes, you should fill it in. To make sure, because suppose, do you have to keep filling it in? Once we hit our 40%, should we keep filling them in? Yes, because suppose I made an adding error over here. And I keep adding, and go, wait a minute, this last one doesn't make sense. It'll help me catch if I made a mistake before. So still fill it in. So, how much did I save? 40% off, how much did I save? Right. Saved $48.
Why did you say I am paying for
Because I already explained that. In a minute. All right, lesson 11. Keon jumps rope for 20 minutes. If he has completed 80% of his routine, how many minutes will he jump rope in all? Now they're asking for equivalent proportions or fractions. So if I see that, I know right away I'm going to write this to help me set it up. 20 minutes. Is that the total amount of time that he spent jumping? Or is that part of the time that he spent jumping? He jumped rope for 20 minutes, and that completed 80%. So that's actually part. Because the 20 minutes is equal to the 80%. And remember, we write 80% as 80 over 100. I need to find what the total was. So what was the total? How do I get from 80 to 20? Divide by 4. So 100 divided by 4 is 25. And there's my beautiful answer in a full complete sentence with a capital and a period. Okay. Jenna ordered 28 shirts for her soccer team. 75% of those shirts were size large. How many shirts did Jenna order? Okay, we're going to use our proportions again. Okay, so is over of equals percent over 100. And if you wrote it the other way, that's fine. Percent over 100 equals is over of, that's fine.
Is it okay if I add part over whole?
Yeah, sure. So 28 shirts. Is that her total order or the part of her order? That's her total order. 75% of those were large. So how many were large? So what part were large? Can I get from 28 to 100 or back? No. So why don't I reduce 75 over 100? What can I reduce that to? What did I reduce to? 3/4. Now can I get from one to the other? Times 7 times 7. So 21 of the shirts were large. Technically, if you're starting a sentence with a number, you're supposed to spell it out. Here's your little ELA lesson. If you start a sentence with a number, you're supposed to spell it, not write it numerically. But it's a math test, so I'll let you off the hook.
How do you know, like on the last problem, you divided by 8? How do you know?
All right, well, let's get to the last two. Okay. Oh, why did I divide?
Why did
On
you
this
not
one?
to divide or multiply?
Well, you're just going to look, how am I going to get from one to the other? If I'm making it smaller, that's division. If I'm making it larger, it's multiplication. But I just drew my arrow that way so that it was still multiplication.
Okay.
But if I drew my arrow that way, I divided by 7. But can I do x divided by 7 that way? No. So you just decide what works. Okay? Okay. She gets a 20% discount on all of the items in the clothing store where she works. If she buys a shirt that is regularly $45, how much money will she save? So we're trying to find just how much she saves, not the new price or anything. So I start with this. So I see 20%, so I know right away it's percent over 100. Now I see this 45. Is 45 the part that I'm saving, or is 45 the whole original cost? The shirt originally cost 40, that's the whole. So what part am I going to save? Can I get from 100 to 45 nice and evenly easy? No. So let's reduce that, and then we'll scale it back up. What does 20 over 100 reduce to? 1/5. So now, Ryan, let's take a look at that. I have to go from here to there. So to go from here to there, what did I do? By 9 times 9. So what is the answer? 9. She will save $9. It did not ask for the sale price. If they did ask for the sale price, we would have done 45 minus 9 to get the sale price. And let's see, or I hope we could get this one in before the bell. I realize number 14 is not on your paper. I told you that got cut off. The photocopy machine is having problems apparently. So write this down quickly. How much will a $20 CD cost if it is discounted clearance 20% and then have a 10% coupon? So first, let's do our first discount. Discount 1. Our first discount is 20% off of the $20 CD. So how much am I going to save? So this was dividing by 5. So that dividing by 5 is 4. So if the CD was $20 minus my $4 discount, well, the new price of the CD is $16. But wait! You have your coupon! Yay, love my coupons. But they take the coupon off of your new price. So let's find, God bless you, let's find discount 2. God bless you. So discount 2 is going to be 10% off of your $16 CD, because that's your new price now. We remember from our claim that 10% is always moving the decimal one place. Or you could do it like this with your division. So my second discount is $1.60. So to find the new price, It was $16 after the clearance, minus $1.60 for my coupon. So the new price for the CD is $14.40. Remember that when you're taking that second discount, that you have to take the second discount off your other sale price. It has to be off of that new sale price. Okay? And if I had a 30% coupon, instead of doing it this way, which way would I save more money? A 30% coupon or 20 and a 10? Everybody? 30. That's right. The one coupon saves us more money because it's all coming off the bigger price, not coming off the sale price. That was timing.